Hey, I'm Kathleen Jasper, and today I'm going to walk you through the testing structure that you may be encountering becoming a new teacher. I know a lot of you are new to this process. It can be very overwhelming. You are dealing with bureaucratic institutions, and it can be overwhelming. So I'm going to walk you through it and help you understand it a little bit better and give you some suggestions on how to manage it. Let's get started. All right. So if you're brand new to teaching and you're trying to get certified, you are likely registering for your teacher certification exams. And because you have to take multiple tests in order to get certified, these things can become very jumbled, very confusing, and extremely overwhelming. On top of that, you're dealing with State Department of Education websites where there may or may not be enough information, and you're just not sure how to approach it. So I'm just going to explain a few things to you today to kind of put your mind at ease so you have an understanding of how this whole thing works. When you want to become a teacher, you have to apply through the state. And every state has its own credentialing process. So, for example, you may have to take some extra courses if your degree, your bachelor's degree, is not in the field of teaching. You may also have to take certification exams. Every state is different. They all sort of follow the same framework. Some states require you to do it within 3 years. Other states allow you up to 5 years, but there is a process in each state. So I always tell people, first and foremost, go to your State Department of Education website and look to see what your credentialing process is for that state. Education is left to the states. Each state certifies its own teachers. So we get a lot of questions. Hey, what do I need to do for North Carolina? Hey, what do I need to do for Georgia? We don't know every individual state's rules and regulations. Go to their specific website. I would also throw that information into ChatGPT or any other AI program you're using. And you can ask it to summarize what's going on in there because sometimes it's jumbled. And really what would serve you best is like a checklist, like first do this, second do this. Not every website does that. So it just depends. Some states are really good at laying it out, others not so much. So it just depends. Now let's talk about the testing process. Typically, and this is not true for every state, but typically teachers trying to get certified in any state take roughly 3 exams. And they can be done in any order. They used to be taken in a certain order. That's why they used to call it Praxis 1 and Praxis 2. But now, because of the way we credential teachers and we have alternatively certified teachers, there isn't necessarily an order. But I'm going to give it to you in just a general order. The first one, let's talk about the Praxis Core. Most states use the Praxis Core. Other states use a different test, but this is a basic skills test. This is like your ACT or SAT. It's not geared towards teaching, but you take these subtests in reading, writing, and math. Typically, you have a reading comprehension section where you're reading passages, either long or short, double passages, looking at charts and graphs, and answering comprehension questions. That's the reading section. The writing typically has a grammar section and some sort of an essay section where you have to write an essay based on a prompt or 2 essays, depending on what test you're taking. And the third section typically is math. It's not geared towards teaching. There are not teaching scenarios on these exams. This is just to assess your abilities in reading, writing, and math. And it's the position of most states that you have the same knowledge that a 10th grade high school student has in the United States. So typically, these tests are at a 10th grade reading level, math level, and writing level, and they have the same skills on them that most students are required to have to graduate high school. Okay, so think about that. I know they may be difficult. You may not have seen some of this math in 20 years if you're a career changer and you're going from maybe another job in hospitality or something, and now you're coming into the teaching profession and you have to take this math test or this reading test, and it's been 20 years. I understand it's difficult, but these are considered basic skills exams. Still tough, but they're considered basic skills, okay? The second test you will take, and again, this is in no particular order, is your subject area exam. The subject area exam is tied to teaching. For example, if you are an elementary education teacher, you take an elementary education subject area exam. If you are a middle school math teacher, you take the middle school math subject area exam. If you want to be a high school social studies teacher, you take the high school social studies exam. There are anywhere from 75 to 105 of these different subject areas, depending on the state you're in. There's a test for agriculture. There's a test for construction because we have teachers teaching these special classes. There are subject area exams for everything. Journalism. It just depends on what you are taking. Most people take the elementary education subject area exam because there are more elementary education teachers than any other one kind of teacher. That's just the way the numbers work. But then we have middle school social studies, middle school math, high school English. We have teachers taking that. Those are your subject area exams. They will have to do with your actual subject. So how to teach reading in elementary math, things like that. For social studies, you may have like the Paleolithic era and then economics and U.S. history if you're going to be a high school social studies teacher, and on and on. It basically assesses your subject area knowledge because in order to be a teacher in social studies, you should have the knowledge of social studies, right? And so you would take those exams to get certified in that area. And the third exam that most states require is a general teaching exam. It has to do with student rights, your rights as a teacher, ethics, reading in the content area, discipline, inclusion, how to help students with disabilities, sort of the overarching ethics in education, how we help all students using principles of equity, things like that. That is like your PPR, the PLT, or the professional education exam. They govern the laws of education, ethics, things like that. Typically, you will take 3 exams. Now, if you want to become a reading teacher, if you want to become a special ed teacher, if you want to add certifications, for example, I taught high school biology. So I took the basic skills exam, like the Praxis Core, and then I took the biology 612 exam, and then I took the professional education exam. So those were my 3 tests. Now, I also wanted to be an English teacher, so I took the English 612 subject area exam, and I could add that subject area to my certificate. You might be taking the elementary ed, the basic skills, the PLT, which is the principles of learning and teaching, which is that ethics test. And then you might say, well, I'm elementary certified, but you know what? I sort of want to go to middle school now. I've been in elementary now for 3 years and I want to see what 6th grade is like. So you might take the 6 through 12 or the 5 through 9 social studies test or whatever it is in your state, right? And you can add that to your certificate. So you may take just the 3, you may take more than 3, you may take 3 now, and you might take another one in a few years to get certified in something else. Those are the way the tests are lined up. Now, to confuse you even more, some tests have multiple subtests in them. When I say subtest, that means it's a test inside the bigger test. Let me give you an example. The Praxis Core is a big test that has 3 subtests in it. Reading, subtest 1, writing, subtest 2, and math, subtest 3. They are actually scored separately. So when you go in to take the Praxis Core, you could pass all 3 subtests and be done, or you might pass the reading and writing, and maybe you fell short on the math. That means you only have to take the math in order to pass the full test. Your reading and writing exam grades stick. You've passed those. Now you just have the math. And lots of people have to do that. They go in, they take the test, they pass 1 or 2, and then they go in and pass the 3rd. It's totally fine. It's a huge exam. It's okay to take it piecemeal. I recommend taking the whole thing at once. I don't recommend chopping it up by subtests when you take it the first time. The reason being is that you could go in and do the whole thing and be done with it. If you break it up, you're just prolonging it. I'd go in the first time, take it, pass one or two, or maybe three and be done. Or if you pass one or two, then you just have one subtest to focus on next. Now, before you register for an exam that you were unsuccessful in, so let's use that example again. The Praxis Core has 3 subtests. Let's pretend I passed the reading and the writing, but I fell a few points short with the math. In 28 days, I can register and take the math. I cannot take it before then. I can't go in the next day and say, oh, I want to take it again. You have to wait 28 days. And within those 28 days, you will receive an official score report for that exam. And you can have a look at the breakdown of your test and see where you were low. It will break down the skills for you. And then you can study those areas and try again. Of course, I have study guides, I have plans, I have online courses and videos on how to do all this, but that's the basic structure of it. Now, the elementary education exam is another exam with multiple subtests. So, for example, the 5001 multiple subjects elementary education exam has 4 subtests. The first one is reading and language arts. So that's going to cover your foundational skills in reading. How do you teach reading? It's going to have a lot of scenarios on reading and all of that. That's the 5002. The 5003 is mathematics. The 5004 is social studies, and the 5005 is science. It all falls under the giant 5001 test, right? So you could go in and take the 5001 all at once is my recommendation the first time, and you might pass, let's just say, the reading and language arts and the math, but you fell short on the social studies and science, the last 2 subtests. Well, your reading and language arts is done. Your math is done. Now all you have to do is focus on the social studies and science. And you might say, you know what? I'm going to break these 2 up. I'm going to focus first on the social studies. And when I pass that, then I'll sign up for the science. So after 28 days of failing the social studies and science, I register for the social studies only. I really work on it. I focus only on that and I pass. And I say, all right, well, now 28 days has totally passed since I took the science the first time. I can go ahead and register for that, focus on that, and pass that exam. So that's a way you can kind of break it up. I get a lot of questions on what's the difference between the Praxis Core and the regular exams, or the basic skills test and the subject area exams. And I get a lot of questions on, should I take the 7001 or the 5001 or the Praxis Core, these multiple subject tests all at once, or should I break it up? So again, my recommendation is first time taking it, take it all at once, see where you land. You may get it all in one shot. That would be amazing. Or you may just miss one, and then you can focus on that for the next session of your test. Now, don't put off taking these exams. I understand when you're brand new and you just start as a teacher, you're overwhelmed that first 9 weeks of school. So maybe you put off your certification exams until maybe the second quarter or the second semester, but don't keep pushing them off. Many states allow principals to hire you before you're fully certified. Some call this a temporary certificate. Other states call it an eligibility status. Basically, you're teaching while you're getting certified because there's such a shortage of teachers. If they waited for everyone to be certified, we would not have teachers in the classroom. So they allow you to work on your certification while you are teaching. Don't put it off. Incrementally chip away at these exams. My mother used to always say to me when I was getting overwhelmed, when I was going for my doctorate, or when I was trying to finish something huge, she would say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. The certification process is a giant elephant. And in order to finish it, you're going to have to take it one bite at a time. And so take it one test at a time, sometimes one subtest at a time. Take it incrementally. And then before you know it, 6 months has passed and you've made so much progress on your certification. If you're a checklist person, throw in your process into ChatGPT and ask it for a checklist, and it will put it all in a nice checklist for you. Organize it, stay on track, don't delay, because if you don't get certified in the time that your state has designated for certification, you may have to reapply and do some of this stuff over again. So do it within the deadline and pass these exams and move on with your life. All right. So I hope that helps you today. If you have more questions, which you probably will because it's a confusing process, throw them in the comments below, or you can send us an email at info@kathleenjasper.com. In the subject line, put, questions for YouTube so we can filter those out and put them on my list to film. And it's been a pleasure talking with you today. I wish you luck on your certifications and have an awesome day. Bye.